better to be just like seated, then by all means take that. Or you can always use a cushion if you're in kneeling and just have it like under the hips or under your kind of knees. It's always an option as well. So when you're ready, so option today is you can take a lotus mudra with your hands to begin with, and the lotus mudra is like this. So our pinky fingers are together and your thumbs are together, and then it's almost like you're holding something in your hands. So option to take this, but you don't have to. And just start to soften your gaze. Or you can always keep your eyes open and just have a steady gaze somewhere in front of you. And just imagine today that you're recharging your energy, and you could start to imagine that within your lotus mudra that there's almost a ball of energy that you're recharging today in your practice. You might start to feel the energy through your fingers and your hands. And you can start to notice your breathing. Soften the shoulders, soften the jaw. And just notice what your breathing might be telling you today. We're going to be doing some twists today. And just checking in with trusting our body, trusting ourselves, listening, trusting the process. And whatever that means to you. When you're ready, you can bring your hands away from the mudra, and if it feels good to you, you can start to slowly open your eyes, or you can keep them closed for this as well. So softly start to take the left hand to the right knee. Inhale, make space in the body, lift the ribs away from the hips. And come into a twist. Bring the right hand to the mat behind you or to the side. And start to twist the body round to the right. Head, maybe your gaze is following and your gaze is coming towards the back of the room. And on your inhale, make space. Exhale, maybe you're melting a little further into the twist. And softly come out through to neutral. Place the right hand on the left knee. Inhale, twist really coming from the waist. Bring the left hand to the mat, either behind you or to the side, and start to twist to the left. Maybe your gaze is coming towards the wall behind you. Just being gentle with the body. Inhale making space, exhaling, maybe melting a fraction further into the twist. Come through to neutral. If your eyes are still closed, you might want to start to open them now. And we're just going to take a little bit of a wrist warm up. So just circle your wrists one way and then bring it back the other way. And then maybe just start doing, this is a really lovely way to release tension. This is something that you can come back to at any time. And it's great for the wrist, but you can also imagine that you're just letting go of anything that you don't need. Anything that's not serving you today, just let it go. So this might be a soft action for you today, or it might be quite strong. Just do whatever feels good. And then you're gonna work into coming into puppy. So you're starting in sort of an all fours position. So again, you could have a blanket or a cushion underneath your knees here. If your knees get a bit sensitive pressing into the mat, then please definitely go with that. Just an option. And then we want our hips roughly in line with our knees. And then you can start walking the hands out in front to come into puppy. Really opening through the shoulders. You can always take a block to support you here, so you could have your head, you could have a block to support your head, to bring the mat up closer to you. Always the option to come onto the sides of your hands and open further through the body. And feel your shoulder blades sliding down your back. Remembering to breathe. Just a couple of breaths here. And then start to bring your right hand, so walk your hands in slightly, both of your hands in, and then really grounding through the right hand, really strong through the inner line of energy in the body. Take the left hand away and start to thread it underneath, coming into a twist, so sort of thread the needle. So our legs have stayed the same, but we've just threaded that left hand underneath and slowly lowered your head to the mat. Now you can stay here if that feels right. You can have the option to start taking that right hand away from the mat and reach it up to the sky. And then if it feels good today, you can always bring your right hand round towards your left thigh. And hook it on there. I know that sounds like a bit of a strange place to be, but it just kind of brings a little bit more into the stretch, but it's just an option. When you're ready, bring that right hand back down beside the head, so on the mat to support you, and slowly ease yourself out of the twist. Nice slow movements, because we're really twisting the spine, so always kind of looking after the spine as much as we can. Ground through the left hand, and now come to the other side, so bring the right hand through underneath, slowly lowering your head to the mat. You can stay here, or you could start to bring your left hand up to the ceiling, feeling the opening in your body. And then if it feels good too, you could option to bring the left hand round to meet the right thigh or towards that direction. But just trusting in your body's communication of what is comfortable today, not pushing ourselves too far early on in the practice. Slowly start to bring the left hand back round to the mat beside the head, and then use this to support you as you bring your body back into a neutral kind of tabletop position, so sort of all fours. Really grounding through the hands, tuck the toes under and start to reach the hips to the sky into a downward facing dog. Legs do not need to be straight and feet do not need to be flat. The main focus is just lengthening our spine. Take any pedals out or movement that feels good. Really stretching into the body. And just check in with breath, any aches or niggles that you might be feeling today, and just notice them. And on your next inhale, start to walk the feet through towards the hands. Soften the knees here. And then slowly start to peel the body up. Head and neck coming last. Meeting in Tadasana. So feet are about hip width apart or can be closer together if that feels right. And on the inhale, sweep the hands above the head. Really lifting the ribs away from the hips. Exhale, hinge at the hips, come forwards into a forward fold, soften the knees as much as you need to. Inhale, lift the chest, make space. Hands either to shins or they might be to the mat. Exhale, frame the feet and step the feet back to meet in plank. So just a quick check-in with alignment in plank pose today. Thinking about bringing the pelvis up and in. So we're really activating through the inner line of energy. Now you'll work through your chaturanga, so I'm going to start with the modified version, but you can go through into your upward dog if that feels right for you. So inhale, roll the shoulders, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, melt back down to the mat. Inhale, coming back through to tabletop. Tuck the toes under, exhale, meet back in downward facing dog. Just really grounding through the hands and the feet. Try and relax the head and the neck. If you need to loosen the neck a little bit here, you could have a little bit of movement and just releasing any tension that you may be holding there. I'm really thinking about bringing the belly button in towards the spine, hips reaching, spine lengthening, creating more and more space in the body. On your next inhale, come to your toes and step the feet in towards the hands. Lift the chest, make space, hands to shins, lengthen the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach the hands up to the sky. Exhale, hands through heart center. And you can just take a moment here to notice just grounding through your feet and noticing the energy starting to build in your body. Now, you can either stay with your feet hip width apart or you can bring them slightly closer in. And on the inhale, we're going to hinge at the hips and come into Utkatasana. So in this seated position, so it's like there's an imaginary seat behind you and you're sitting back into it, really strong with the legs. Sometimes for some people it might feel helpful to have the feet further together and you can really bring those thighs in, but not necessarily for everyone, so go with what feels best for you. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift the chest, make space, lengthen the spine. Exhale, frame the feet and step back into plank position. Bringing the pelvis up and in, activating the core, the lower body. Work through your chaturanga, your version. So inhaling into cobra or upward facing dog. And then exhale, meet back in downward facing dog. On your next inhale, step the left foot through between the hands. But before you take the hands off, we're going to come into a little twist. So ground through that right hand and ground through that left front foot. And then stretch the left arm up and open the body. So stretch the left arm up to the sky and see if you can bring your gaze there. You stay where you are. I'm just gonna make it so that you can see what I'm doing. If it feels good to you, you can actually have the option to bring the knee to the mat here. You don't have to be up like this. So take whichever option feels right. And then really grounding through the foot, engaging the core. See if you can start to lift that right hand off the mat. Bring hands to prayer position. So if this is feeling really challenging, really wobbly, bring the back leg down to support. And then see if you can hook this right elbow onto the left thigh into a twist. Maybe you start sending your gaze or playing with sending the gaze up towards the ceiling. And maybe just an option from here, you could open out into revolved side angle, which is just a case of opening the arms out into a further stretch. And then start to release the hands back down to frame the foot. And then soften, if the leg's not already down, soften that right leg down. So we're now in a lovely low lunge. And then inhale, sweep the arms up to the sky. Just take a couple of breaths here, feeling into the stretch. Checking in with the alignment, so knee roughly in line with the ankle. Should still be able to see your big toe. Exhale, bring the hands back down to frame that front foot. Tuck under the back toes to bring the leg off the ground and step back to meet in plank. Work through your version of chaturanga. On the inhale, upward dog or cobra. And then exhale, meeting back in downward facing dog. So really grounding through the hands and the feet, lifting the hips to the sky. On the next inhale, this time step the right foot through between the hands, and then grounding through the left hand and the right foot, start to stretch the right arm up to the ceiling. Really strong in that back leg supporting you as well. So really activated lower body. Think about bringing the belly away from the thigh. And maybe you start sending the gaze towards the sky if it's not there already. Option to bring the back leg softened down to the mat here. Start to bring the left arm away, bringing the hands into prayer position, Anjali Mudra. Hook that left elbow to the outside of the right thigh. And again, thinking about bringing the belly away from the thigh, so really feeling into the core. Just taking a couple of breaths in the twist. Play around with your gaze. Find your drishti or your gazing point if that helps with stability. And then exhale, bring the hands back down to frame that right foot, and then soften, if it's not already on the mat, soften the left knee to the mat. And inhale, sweep the arms up, stretching into a lovely low lunge. Just taking a couple of breaths here. Exhale, frame the foot. Tuck the left toes under and bring the knee away from the mat, and then step back to me in plank and work through your chaturanga. So inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, meet in downward facing dog. You might be feeling some heat in the body now. Just check back in with the breath. Just notice. Notice any thoughts that might be coming into your mind throughout your practice. And really come back to grounding through the feet and the hands and lengthening the spine, making space between the ribs and the hips, belly button coming in towards the spine. On your next inhale, come to your toes and step the feet through to the hands. Inhale, lift the chest, make space, lengthen the spine. Exhale, forward fold. And then inhale, hinging at the hips, come back to your Utkatasana, so in our imaginary seat. So again here we're thinking about bringing the belly away from the thighs, and also thinking about bringing the pelvis in and up. So we're not kind of flexing too much into our lower back. Exhale, hands to heart center, back to standing. Lovely, well done everyone. Option here to come to your toes. You don't have to go with this option, you can have your feet grounded. It's just a little test, and then start to lower yourself down to the mat with control, and then you can release your hips to the ground. Lovely. Now, with our hips really grounded, we're going to come into Navasana boat pose. So start to bring the feet away from the mat and then see how it feels to maybe take the backs of your legs with your hands to support you, and think about lifting the chest, crown of the head reaching up. Maybe you can take your hands away and have them at the sides, just an option. This is really strengthening our Mula Bandha here, actually, our pelvic floor, our inner pelvic muscles. So this is a really great place to be. If it feels good to, you could bring your hands to Anjali Mudra and take some small twists to the side with your own breath, really working into the core mindfully. This is just an option, you don't have to come here. We're also really working the hip flexors in this position. And then meet back in neutral and release the legs to the ground. And then I'm going to come to a wide leg forward fold. So we did this last week in the class. So get anything that you need to feel comfortable here. And it's really you're going to get the same out of the stretch wherever your legs are. So it's more about getting the feet flexed. The thighs, we want them to be kind of facing the sky. So keeping the thighs up, the feet flexed, and then with a hinge at the hips, maybe you start to come slightly forwards. You can bring your hands out in front. You could bring your hands to your toes, depending on what feels right. So you can walk your hands out. So initially leading with the breastbone, really making space in the body. So come to a place that really feels like a nice deep stretch, but is that place before your limit. So we're checking in with the breath, feeling a lovely stretch through the legs. Now you've either got the option to stay here, or if you'd like to have a stretch to each side, you could place your right hand to the mat and then sweep the left arm over, coming to a stretch on the right side, and really feel the left side body opening up. Think about any tension you're storing there, just releasing from the body. Inhale, come back through neutral. Place the left hand softly down and sweep the right arm over your head, coming to a stretch on the left side now. Feel into that right side body opening, and breathe. Come back through to neutral. You can bring the legs in together and find a lying position on your mat. And once you're in your comfortable lying position, you can take that right knee in towards the chest And start to guide it over to the left, coming into a supine twist. You could bring that right arm out to the side. You might want to start softening your gaze now, coming to the end of the class. Really restorative twist to come to at the end of the practice. Then slowly guiding your leg back to neutral, you can soften the right leg down to the floor. Start to bring your left knee in, hug it into the chest, and then guide it over to the right into a lovely twist. And bring your left hand out to the left side. Drop the head over towards the left if that feels good. And just notice how you can relax and breathe into the twist. Then when you're ready, come back through to neutral. Release both legs. Maybe let the feet drop out to the sides. Let the palms of your hands face the ceiling. If the eyes aren't closed, option to soften the gaze now. Notice your breathing, any sensations that might be occurring in the body. Maybe coming back to the intention from the beginning of the practice, which is trusting in ourselves. Trust your own intuition. Trust your body to communicate to you what it needs. Trusting that everything is happening for your greater good. And that where you're at right now may not be where you're at tomorrow.